men like geologist Bob Ballard and biologist Fred Grassley. Ballard and teams of science, an expedition that will reveal sights no one has ever seen before. The scientists will explore the deep sea in the submersible Alvin, an extraordinary spaceship of the inner world. Equipped with a revolutionary television camera, they will take unprecedented motion pictures of strange creatures in the black abyss. For decades, oceanographers have studied the deep sea floor where no sunlight penetrates, where the temperature is just above freezing, where pressure is enormous and life is thinly scattered. Because there is no sunlight and green plants can't grow to form the basis of a food chain, scientists have had good reason to believe that the deep sea is like a desert. But in 1977, scientists were amazed to discover in the Pacific warm water springs or vents with temperatures up to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And around the vents, a myriad of creatures no one had ever seen before. Biologists were astounded. What were these animals doing there? What could they find to eat in that desert world? Geologists were equally confounded. A mile and a half down, they had discovered 4 vents in a small area. Was this a freak oasis? Or were there even more vents? Now a second expedition sets out to explore the vent area to seek answers to these questions. The answers they find will revolutionize our concept of the deep sea.
Oh,
80 men and women and 2 research vessels converge on Panama. The expedition has been 18 months in the planning and will cost $2 million.
well, you got Williams now over on Lulu, right?
Williams is over there, and Pat Walsh is moving over.
Okay, so that's...
Ballard and Grassley have directed the construction of special gear to capture and film the creatures they hope to find.
Find out who the hell they are.
The leaders are both on the staff of Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. Their fellow scientists on the expedition come from other major academic centers. The day of departure, January 14th. Looking more like a floating factory than a ship, Lulu is actually an outboard motor vessel. Her 2 hulls were originally pontoons used in mine sweeping, and her decks are strewn with equipment vans, housing laboratory, machine, and electronic shops. Her sole purpose is to serve as mothership to the research submersible Alvin. Alvin can dive more than 2 miles to give oceanographers an unparalleled platform from which to study the ocean floor close up. But before Lulu and Alvin can begin their work, the vents last seen 2 years ago must be relocated. That is the job of Bob Ballard on research vessel Gillis. Ballard had hoped that Gillis could depart first, so that he would have the time necessary to find the vents before Lulu arrives on the scene. Instead, engine trouble delays Gillis, costing Ballard 2 days of search time. The vent area discovered by the 1977 expedition is more than 200 miles northeast of the Galápagos Islands, on a rift zone where the molten magma of the Earth's interior is near the surface. Bob Ballard explored the teeming vents on the 1977 expedition. So far, Fred Grassley has seen only pictures, tantalizing hints of sights he hopes to see firsthand.
You think the one's just more sensitive?
We are so excited just to hear about the animals. You know, we heard that press release from, I think it was San Francisco or somewhere that came through. It's like finding a lost valley somewhere.
Well, it was. You know, you've been diving a lot, and so have I, and I'd almost become a little insensitive to it all because it is so barren down there. And when I came into that vent area, and this is one of the first slides I took, it was like going to Disneyland.
Yeah. Well, you never find big animals like that in the deep sea because, well, everywhere else the animals are dependent on the food that comes down from the surface, and this thing seems self-contained.
Yeah.
It seems completely self-sufficient. Ah, there's the dandelion.
There it is.
We just have no idea what that thing is now. You know, the best guess that somebody made at Woods Hole was that it was a large one-celled animal, something like a radiolarian.
Doesn't look like it. You see the filaments coming out that seem to attach it to the rock.
Yeah.
Then you see a bunch of these other little fingery things.
And we just
And they
really
look like they're feeding.
On her stern, Gillis carries a crude cage of iron pipe, which is a protective housing for a still camera and light system called Angus. It serves as Ballard's eyes in the deep sea.
I figured I'd give it a little cosmetic. Not that it improves its abilities, it improves people's confidence. Don't want anyone nervous at this stage.
On one sweep, the Angus camera can photograph an 8-mile-long series of pictures. Only after the location of the vents is confirmed in photographs will the sub be launched. 50 hours out, Gillis passes Lulu. Ballard has to wonder whether he can make up the lost time.
We can't even get them in the way. They're all turning their back.
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever seen Lulu from this point of view.
Ruth Turner, a biologist from Harvard.
See her from, well, I've seen her from the whaler now.
The 14 biologists are completely dependent on Ballard to relocate the vents. There are no landmarks to rely on, and the 1977 expedition was not able to mark the site with either sonar transponder or beacon. On a contour chart or a topographic map at the bottom, Ballard lays out his plan for dropping sound transponders for precise navigation of the camera sled and the submersible.
Then I'm going to have across the valley down to this depression, which we called Sheik Deep. There's no other major depression around that goes that deep. And then what I was going to do is turn in the closure and then steam straight up, ready to deploy. And as soon as I acquire this wall again, as soon as I go up onto the wall, I'll stop the ship, I'll be skidding, and I'll start deploying and drop the first transponder somewhere in this area.
In just a few hours, Ballard will face a lonely responsibility. The expedition and even his professional credibility depend on his success in finding the vents, and finding them quickly. Any loss of dive days means that some scientist will lose a chance he has been anticipating for 2 years.
And from here to here is 3 degrees.
After 3 days at sea, Gillis approaches the rift area.
At 11 knots means we should get on station around midnight. Always arrive at midnight.
Bridge, mainland, come to 255.
255. Stand by to make a turn to 180 and reduce speed to 4 knots.
Now, control of the ship passes from the bridge to the science lab below. It's Ballard's responsibility to set course and speed.
Longitude is 679.4. 05.2.
5.2, roger.
Ballard has only 3 sources of information. A precision depth sounder, which provides him a vertical cross-section picture of the peaks and valleys directly under the ship, the contour chart of the bottom, and navigational fixes that come in periodically from Earth-orbiting satellites.
You know, there's
Okay.
air, you don't know what way it is. Probability that it's right on is pretty bleak. That a nice new satellite would come bouncing in about now. Lab to bridge.
Bridge eye.
Yeah, Al, what's our schedule for next satellite?
Next one will be at 1 minute after the hour.
The satellite fixes only the starting point for the search. It may be an error by a dozen city blocks. Some vents are only the size of a baseball diamond. Ballard is faced with a three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle to find a match between the terrain under the ship and the topographic chart.
So let's say I were paralleling this course. So the depth we cross the valley at should really tell us
where.
something. East-west, and I'm hoping spends most of its time around 1330. Then it ought to just drop like crazy. Should keep coming up. It's already at 13. There's a 13.9. Oh, I want to get this over with.
And there is the pressure of time. Now the ship passes over the 2-mile-wide Rift Valley. If Ballard is not to waste the night, he must determine his position before he reaches the other side.
North, 8608.3 west. That's 4 minutes after midnight.
8608 point. Al, that was 0 degrees 50 minutes 8608.3.
Right, that's what the satellite gave us position at that time.
All right, now, where the hell does that put us on this map? 50 and 8.3. I'll be damned. Where we thought we were. Isn't that neat? Gee, we're right on the button. Miracles happen, let me tell you.
Oh, you live right, Bob.
Well, I'll claim I knew what I was doing, right? We're about ready to deploy. Let it go. Okay. We there or what? We're there.
Yep, you got it.
The Angus crew drops a first of the sound transponders that will provide fixed reference points on the bottom.
Okay.
Get down. Remember, we gotta stop this and have Al check it.
Take it in. Watch your leg here.
The work goes on all night, the next day, and into the next night. Cat naps are the crew's only chance for rest.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
Come on, time to go.
Finally, with the triangular transponder network in place, the crew lowers the camera sled.
All right, have him come around to 090.
Go ahead down.
Automatic strobe lights are set to fire every 10 seconds. Ballard believes he knows exactly where he is, but he can't be sure until he succeeds in photographing the vents with the Angus camera sled. A mile and a half, the sled is lowered into the gloom. Guiding it to a vent is an electronic game of blind man's buff. Acoustic transmitters and receivers on the sled, the transponders, and the ship talk to one another on different frequencies, and the computer translates into distance the time it takes the signals to reach the ship. From this data, the ship's position, the height Angus is flying above the bottom, and the site of the photographs are calculated.
Wind chill
Only constant attention keeps Angus flying low over the bottom.
What happens if these clam beds are all dead from 2 years ago?
Well, that's going to ruin a few people's day.
That's what I was wondering.
"12 hours, and all the film has been exposed.
Oh, yours, Pete.
Child.
With birth.
See if the film jams, will you, Pete? Yeah.
Developing the film takes 3 hours, and although Ballard has been almost continuously on call for 48 hours, that's too long for him to wait.
Yeah, we're in the area, but it's a needle in a haystack. Gotta find a needle. Let's go and look and see what we got. Really look at it, but I'll swear I saw a bunch of dandelions.
Ballard's success or failure will be immediately obvious in the pictures. Barren lava. Frame after frame, the roll on reels with little trace of life.
That's it.
The inconspicuous appearance of life on the rocks is a tip-off that the vents are close by.
Those are the dandelions. See, they're pink as opposed to white. That's a dandelion. Let's just look at that for a while. Do you realize that we have about 4 frames to go?
January 20th. It has taken 2 days for Bob Ballard aboard the research vessel Gillis to locate a likely vent area. Now the action shifts to Lulu and Alvin. Before the submersible can dive, there are literally hundreds of systems that must be carefully checked. A minor failure during a dive could force the pilot to abort. A major failure could kill the divers.
Rudder, coming right, back to midships.
The claw is Albin's clumsy substitute for hands. Scrap iron weights help submerge the sub, and when released, allow her to rise again. Underwater cameraman Al Giddings will operate an extraordinary new scientific tool, a breakthrough in electronic photography. It is the prototype of the world's smallest color video camera.
If not, then we got to put something in the other arm and bring it over here.
This will be the first deep water test of the biological gear developed to gather specimens. Before the sub is permitted to dive, final permissions come from the ship's captain, the expedition chief scientist, and the expedition leader.
All ready to go, huh? Good.
Going to Whalen. Launch the submarine. Launch the submarine.
The crew on this dive, pilot Dudley Foster, biologist Fred Grassley, and cameraman Al Giddings. The cradle descends and the sub floats free. Alvin depends only on her own power for diving and returning again to the surface.
Okay.
Her front littered with baskets, instruments, and arms, Alvin almost looks like she needs some re-engineering. But like an orbiting satellite, she has needs more vital than streamlining.
Lulu Alvin, my surface hydrant light and radio beacon is on, hatch is shut, oxygen's on, blower's running, VQC's on, tracking's on, 8.1, leak parameters done to normal, no joy in the pad only, ready to dive, permission to dive, over.
Your launch altitude is 2,500 meters, permission to dive, over.
All right, you're diving.
Alvin descends 100 feet per minute, and it will take her an hour and a half to reach the bottom. Inside the titanium sphere, the crew is comfortable under normal atmospheric pressure. Outside, deadly pressure builds quickly. The sun's light grows dim. Below 2,000 feet, the sub enters a region of eternal darkness, where no light penetrates except the luminescence of creatures living there and Alvin's own lights.
Lulu Alvin, my depth 1,000 meters.
In the deep ocean, the temperature near the bottom is uniform and very cold. When the sub is 1.5 miles deep, the total pressure on the sphere is 38,000 tons. A small break would instantly kill the men inside.
Lulu Alvin, I'm on the bottom, depth 2500, neutral trim 1573, temperature is 2.1. Can you give me a vector to the vent, over?
Alvin, this is Lulu. Your target bears 280 degrees, 30 meters, over.
Gliding across the ocean floor at depths few people have experienced, the crew takes pictures through the sub ports.
There's very little cover of the rocks, nothing like the other area we got.
Feather duster worms on the bottom show a vent is close by. These movie films shot by a remote-controlled camera are the deepest ever made of a submersible on the ocean floor. Tube worms appear in the distance. They lead to the heart of the vent area. Now for close-ups, Giddings swings a video camera into position. Alvin's lights reveal a sight no biologist has ever seen before. Fred Grassley has waited 2 years for this moment.
It's fantastic, like nothing else I've ever seen. It really is like another world. Those white ends are the mussel siphons, and what we need to find out is whether the food is bacteria. Oh boy, it's incredible. I have no idea what that word is. It's something new, I'm sure of that.
What's he find to eat down here?
I think he must be eating clams or crabs. There's certainly a lot of food there for him.
There's the sea spider.
You know, the hard part's going to be figuring out how these animals got here in the first place.
Beautiful animal.
It looks as if thin filaments are holding it to the rocks, and it's held up by the gas bags. Gives it that appearance of being suspended in space. I hope we can get it back intact.
A rat-tailed fish, strangely attracted by the sub's light, slides into view.
These fish are known to feed on animals in the bottom. That little beard under his mouth is used to sense animals, and they can actually push their nose down into the sediment and stir up the bottom, and then they sense the small animals and grab them out of the water with their mouths.
Bringing back specimens for study is crucial, but the submersible's claw is far from a delicate tool.
I really think that the brilliant red color that you see is exactly what it looks like. It's just like blood that a person has.
Mussels by the thousands lie among the crevices. How fast do these animals grow? Only study in the laboratory can provide the answer. A simple minnow cage baited with mackerel traps a basket full of crabs in 2 hours. For the trip to the surface, the whole lot is dropped into an insulated container to protect them from changes in temperature. They are not protected from changes in pressure.
Lulu Alvin, my depth is 24.
7-2, we're ready to surface, over.
This is Lulu, Roger. All clear to surface, all clear to surface. Over.
Roger, both the weights away.